I want to talk about two people who I admire a great deal. The first is pretty well a household name, Mrs. Thatcher. I admire the way she championed the democratic rights of the Falklanders to make their own decision about what they wanted to do and how they wanted to define themselves. She marshalled the entire British Navy to support their decision. I admire her championing of entrepreneurship. I admire her championing of free speech. I admire the way she stood up against the Soviet Empire, how she supported our allies, particularly America. I don't admire the way some of her policies divided our country. I don't admire the way she chipped at the power of the unions to the point that the unions were humiliated. I don't admire particularly the way she developed or supported Section 28, this heinous law which introduced censorship into our society again. Didn't last long, it was quickly repealed, but for a short period it was illegal to discuss alternative lifestyles like homosexuality in schools. There are many children who are struggling with their sexual identity. It was illegal to discuss that. And this brings me to my next point, because I am sure, knowing the way Mrs. Thatcher worked, that she would have repealed that law herself. She was very happy to change her mind when a better argument was presented. She did it again and again. So what worries me is that Mrs. Thatcher has become the bogeyman for everything that is currently wrong in our society. She is blamed for the division between North and South, for the fact that the rich have got richer, the poor have got poorer. But we've had 30 years since Thatcher to change that. We've had successive Conservative and Labour governments, and they haven't done anything. That worries me. And more recently, we've had another female Prime Minister. Well, for me there is and has only been one successful female Prime Minister in our country, and she wasn't the one who ran through fields of wheat. Mrs. May would have done better to look at a leader who was prepared to listen and to change her mind than weep in front of number 10 Downing Street and claim that she couldn't get anything done. I like to see people who are decisive, even if they might for a while be wrong. I like to see people who are prepared to take advice and, if necessary, change their mind. Indecision and hiding behind bureaucracy seems to me a form of cowardice. So there's a little expression in Turkish, bir piri için yorgun yakılmaz. Don't throw out the blanket because of one little tick, because of one fly, because of one flea. Wash the blanket. And if you've had 30 years to change things, why haven't you done it? Now, Section 28 was appalling. It was a revision of a law made in 1986 for local government, and Section 28 was introduced in 1988. But in 2013, a similar law was enacted in Russia. More draconian, but it was still the basic censorship about homosexuality. And it was discussed on the 11th of June in 2013 and came into law on the 30th of that month. One person in the Duma, one person alone, abstained from voting. And that person is the second person I admire enormously. His name is Ilya Ponomarev. What bravery, what guts, to stand up for something that he believed was right. Now, I would hope that a strong leader like Vladimir Putin would be prepared to take advice, would be prepared to change his mind. That's what I hope. I would hope that any strong leader, Boris Johnson maybe, is prepared to change his mind, is prepared to take a decision forcefully, and then, if necessary, look at how that can be improved. But certainly not somebody who's going to hide behind a bureaucratic fudge. So that, I'm afraid, is my thought about, this is my thought about many things, but certainly that's about the people that I admire very much. I like people to be able to take decisions, even if they are hard decisions, and I think it's something that we all have to learn how to do. So, on that rather grim note, this is Tim.